Since the internet's already mad at me, I figured now would be a good time to tell you guys that I went into debt to pay for my upcoming Disney trip. I booked this trip way back in January, and I fully intended to pay it every paycheck until the balance was paid off. And honestly, I thought about canceling it multiple times. But here we are, now the trip's next month. This is the remaining balance on my Disney credit card. This is a 8-day trip for me and my 2 kids with the free dining plan and everything, so I don't have to pay for food while we're there. And if you don't know, with the Disney credit card, you get 6 months with no interest to pay like your Disney vacations off specifically. So I made the payments a couple weeks ago, and now I have 6 months where it won't cost me any extra, where I can make payments on that remaining balance. So to get it paid off before it starts collecting interest, I will need to pay $353.33 per month for the next 6 months. Oh my God, it's so irresponsible to go on vacation. Don't go on vacation if you don't have the money. Blah, 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 blah. I deserve a vacation even if I'm a little poor. My kids deserve a vacation even if I'm a little poor. We're gonna have a great freaking time.
We are paying $59,000 worth of debt this year, but we are going on vacation soon. So before you come at me, just to hear me out, the first time that we became debt free, we deprived ourselves so much. We did not give ourselves, essentially, we lived the Dave Ramsey lifestyle: beans and rice and beans, no restaurants, all the things. And I think we deprived ourselves so much, it ended up getting us into a worse situation down the road. When we became debt free, we started thinking we worked so hard that we deserve this vacation, we deserve this thing. And it just kept on happening until we found ourselves back in debt again. So this time around, we're doing it a little different. We've been doing a sinking fund for vacations and giving us a tiny bit of spending money throughout the month, like $150, $200 each. And in the sinking fund, we've been putting, $250 to $300 a month away, so that once the vacation rolls around, we have everything set aside and taken care of. And hopefully, if we don't spend it all, it'll roll over into the next one. We still want to have fun. We don't want to do what we did before and make it miserable for everyone, especially now that we have kids. We're very intentional about how we speak about money in front of them so that they don't have this scarcity mindset that can actually do a little bit more damage. If you are paying off debt, do you guys still vacation, set aside money? What are you doing?
I have a question for the people that go into debt for a vacation. Now, I'm not judging anyone. I 1000% have gone into debt for vacation, which sounds crazy, I know, but I'm in front of you guys because I've made poor financial decisions in my life. Not anymore. Haven't made any bad decisions in the last 5 years financially, but I have made poor decisions. And going into debt for a vacation was definitely one of those bad decisions. I will say this was like college age, like I have not done it in forever. Anyway, I want to know how you guys feel about it. Like, how you feel on vacation, because when I went into debt for vacation in college, I could not enjoy my vacation. It was so hard for me to enjoy my vacation because it's not like you're buying the flights or X, Y, and Z with debt. You're like paying for everything on the vacation in debt. It's like your vacation is supposed to be fun and relaxing, but it's not fun and relaxing because you're stressed about all the money you spend. So I think I went on one vacation while I was in debt and got into more debt, and I was like, that was the dumbest thing. Anyway, I'm just curious, do you guys like feel that guilt, and like, is it just you brush it off and you're just like, whatever, I deserve a vacation? Or are you like, do you feel guilty? Like, I'm telling you, by the end of it, I'm like, I couldn't even enjoy my vacation because of the anxiety I had about digging myself into more debt doing this. Anyway, no judgment here. I'm just curious because, like, I've been there. I've done that. But like I said, I just could not enjoy the vacation at all. So, like, I will never do that again. I'm here to relax and not stress. Now, when I was paying off my debt, I guess I still kind of am, but like all my credit cards, things like that. It's not that we wouldn't go on vacation. The rule of thumb was that we could never go into debt for vacation. And we had to do that vacation cheap as shit. Like, for example, we went on a cruise like December of 2022. That's crazy. That really wasn't that long ago. I was in a bunch of credit card debt. Of course, we just moved across the country and we went on a cruise, and you had to make it as cheap as possible, meaning we had to like stay in the stateroom. We couldn't like upgrade any of our dinners, nothing like that. We did get to decide a like one excursion, and it really wasn't even an excursion, but like one thing to do. So anyway, if you're in debt and you're like, no, I deserve a vacation or whatever, at the very least, at the very minimal, don't go into debt for that vacation, okay? At the very least, do it as cheap as possible and like save up the money for it, or like pay for it with cash. So that way you can like enjoy it a little. But yeah, going into debt for a vacation, especially when you like went to debt for that vacation because you probably were in a lot of other debt. Like, you're desperate when you go into debt for vacation, but like I said, been there, done that. Is it the smartest decision? Absolutely not, but I totally understand it. Essentially what I'm saying, just at the very least, don't let the vacation put you into even more debt. But yeah, did that one time, paid for a vacation. I probably was 20 years old, paid for a vacation on debt, and it was horrible. I'm telling you, I'm like, And the vacation was cheap, to be honest. I think it was like $700, but it was $700. Anyway, remember this because I know spring break and like summer is kind of coming up. There's nothing wrong with family vacation. But like I said, if you're in debt, don't go into more debt for this vacation, like at all. Just save up the money, pay cash for it. And whatever that vacation is, you got to do it as cheap as possible. Give yourself the best of both worlds. But please learn from my mistake. No one needs to go into even, a lot of people do it though. Trust me, a lot of people do it. I even saw some ads for like banks and stuff. I don't know specifically which ones, but come get a loan for your vacation. I'm like, a loan for your vacation? But honestly, at the end of the day, a loan probably would be better than putting on your credit card because the interest rate's a lot lower. Please don't do that though.
I've paid off $40,000 in debt in the last year. And yes, I'm very proud of myself. But do you know what I could have done with that money? I could have hired a housekeeper twice a week. Could have gone on a cruise. Could have gone on several cruises, to be honest. Could have gone on a luxury vacation. Could have maxed out my Roth IRA. Could have contributed to my kids' college fund. Could have gotten another car. Could have gotten all new furniture. We have one couch for 5 people. I feel like debt takes away so much from you, but it also keeps you stuck in the past because you're just paying for all your past purchases, past mistakes, past trips, past everything instead of your present or your future. So don't get into fucking debt. Like, if you can help it, do not go into debt. It is not worth it. If you're in debt too, please, let's keep each other accountable. Follow along on my debt-free journey. I love you guys. Bye.
More than a third of Americans say they're willing to go into debt just to take a vacation this year. Not a small minority quietly rationalizing an exception to their own rules. More than a third, according to a survey run this summer, willing to borrow money specifically for time off, even while most of the same people readily admit travel has gotten noticeably less affordable than it was just a year earlier. The average amount people carry in vacation debt sits at $2,525. And it's not landing on one single payment method either. 68% of travelers use a credit card to cover trip costs directly. 17% are turning specifically to buy now, pay later services built for exactly this kind of purchase. 13% are using cash advances against their own credit line, and 7%, which is the number that should genuinely concern anyone hearing it, are financing a vacation with a payday loan, one of the single most expensive forms of borrowing that legally exists in this country.
So I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit, but when I was in high school, my school one time withheld my report card because of my cafeteria debt. And that's a very common practice in the United States. I was a child and I was in debt because I needed to eat. And there was just some days where my dad just did not have money to give me for lunch. And there was free lunch programs that existed, but my family lived in that weird little American category where, according to the government, my family made too much money for us to qualify for assistance. We weren't poor enough, basically. But we also weren't financially secure enough to not need that help. And there's families all over the country that live in that gap. A lot of us have just enough income to be denied assistance, but not enough income to actually be secure. We love putting people into categories like poor, working class, middle class, as if the label itself tells us how they're living. My family was middle class, but what does calling my family middle class actually tell you if we couldn't consistently afford lunch? On paper, I'm not poor enough, but sometimes there wasn't enough money for food, so I ate it anyway. And every time that I did, I would owe a balance. I would have a little negative number next to my name. And owing lunch money in American schools, it's never private. That's the one thing that I remembered the most was it was definitely the embarrassment. Every day we would walk up to the lunch ladies, type in our lunch number, and the second they pulled up your account and saw that negative balance, they would tell you how much you owed right there in front of everybody. Which is just like crazy, like in hindsight, like politicians are deciding whether children like me deserved free lunch. And I was standing in a cafeteria line hoping that the lunch lady wouldn't read my negative balance too loud. At my school, once you owed, I think it was around like $20, they would actually send you to the back of the cafeteria where the head of the cafeteria lady, she had her office back there. You would sit there while they called your parents and they told them how much money you owed and that it basically just needed to be paid. And everybody would see you walk back there. Like everybody knew what it meant. Everybody knew, oh, your family doesn't have the money. And sometimes that process took about like 10 minutes out of my lunch period. And so by the time they were finished calling my parents to remind them that they couldn't afford my lunch, I'd have about 5-10 minutes to actually eat it. So I owed money because I needed food. They took me away from my food because I owed money. And then they gave me less time to eat the food that I was already in debt for eating. In the United States, poverty gets treated like a behavioral failure, even when you're a child. But what exactly had I done wrong? I didn't determine my parents' income. I didn't establish the eligibility requirements for free lunch. I didn't control the grocery budget. I was a kid who was hungry. When did we decide that eating was something that a child should financially qualify for? Why is that something that a child has to earn? Like, why is that even a thing? Like that sometimes I would qualify for free lunch and sometimes I wouldn't. And this isn't something I just learned in the cafeteria. I learned it outside of school as well. When I was 14, I got my first job. By 16, I was working 2 jobs and going to school. By my senior year, I was allowed to co-op, which meant I was able to leave school at like 11:30 in the morning and go straight to work. And America loves stories like that. Wow. We hear a story about a 14-year-old working. We call her hardworking. 16-year-olds juggling 2 jobs and going to school and getting good grades. We call her responsible and mature. We praise our work ethic. The fuck? I wasn't working to build some cute little savings account. I was working because I needed groceries. I was working because I needed money to take care of myself. In the context of the American freedom that everyone boasts about, how free was I as a 14-year-old girl when my survival required me selling my labor in the hours after school? How equal was my education to that of a child who got to go home, study, and rest and just be a kid when I had to clock into work because I needed money to eat? And eventually my school withheld my report card. Before I ever got into politics heavily, I already understood what it felt like to live in a society where access to something as fundamental as food depended on whether or not I could pay for it.
Hi there. I'm 32 with 5-figure credit card debt. I took a month-long European vacation a month and a half ago, and then when I came back, I quit my job with no plan. Gabby, why did you quit your job? Can't really talk about it, but like I had to. I had to get out of there. Anyway, I want to let you know what I've been doing to survive July because initially I was like, how the fuck? I've done pretty good, so I'm going to tell you what I did. First of all, I compartmentalized the debt. Once my credit gets a little bit better, I'm going to do one of those like consolidation situations. And I know it's going to be fine. I know it's going to be taken care of. I'm just paying my credit cards off the way that I normally would. Then took inventory around my house of what furniture did I fucking hate. And I put that on Facebook Marketplace. And today I made $200 off of a magazine rack that I really didn't give a fuck about. Facebook Marketplace is like the quickest money. Then I took a picture of every single item of clothing that I haven't worn in a year. I put it on eBay because that is the easiest platform, I think, to list something. Then I signed up for a cross-listing platform called Nifty, which also lists it to Poshmark, Depop, Mercari. Last week I made $800 selling my old clothes, ones that I haven't touched in a year. What else am I doing? I'm grocery shopping. I am not ordering shit. I am fully grocery shopping. And then on top of that, because I used to freelance, I reached out to every client I've ever had, and I've been given small projects to do here and there while I figure it the fuck out. But those things have really helped me. Everybody gets put in tight spots sometimes. That's just where I am sitting right now, and I'm not gonna let it bring me fucking down. If anything, it's gonna make me funnier and more creative. And I'm gonna look back on this time and be like, I survived that. So if you're struggling, you're not alone. Sell your shit. You don't need it. It'll get you through to the next phase, and you fucking got this.
A local women's travel group was heading to Italy, like the one place I've always wanted to go, and they planned the whole trip. All I had to handle was booking my airfare. But the price tag was $3,000, and I just could not pull the trigger. I kept telling myself, like, I could pay off half of my last student loan with that kind of money, which felt like the smart choice. What actually happened is I didn't go on the trip, and I didn't pay off the student loan. What I did do, want to know? I self-sabotaged. I spent thousands on home decor, on new clothes, on online workout and nutrition programs, on shoes. I went out of my way, whether I realized it or not, to make sure that that trip was just not going to happen. And the worst part is that I went from very little debt, money in the bank, saving heavily for retirement, to feeling really, really stupid for ending up in the same debt cycle again. It wasn't until I started working with a coach doing guided money shadow work that I finally saw what was actually happening. The real problem wasn't the trip, it wasn't the price tag, it was trauma. A few years earlier, I'd gone on another group trip. I flew alone to a country I had never been, where I didn't speak the language. And when I landed, the guides had warned us, like, don't speak to anyone until you get to the shuttle. Our streets had armed guards at the security checkpoint, and the windows and doors in our house didn't lock. See, I had thought I was really proud of myself for going out on that trip, but the truth was my body was actually stuck in fight or flight since that trip. So when the Italy trip came along, my nervous system could not handle the idea of going through that again, and self-sabotage became self-protection. But here's the thing, even if you know how to budget, even if you've paid off debt before, I want you to know that if you keep finding yourself back in the same cycle, racking up debt and thinking, I know better, like, why do I keep doing this? It might not be the discipline, it might be trauma. And the best part is that you don't have to stay stuck there. You can heal your money trauma, manage your money with ease, and finally book that dream trip that you have set your heart on. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. If this hits home for you, you are not alone. And if you want help making this a reality for you, you can hit me up in the DMs. Okay, love you. Bye.
I just paid off $18,000 in student loan debt, so let's plan a surprise vacation for my daughter.
It honestly feels like I've been waiting for this moment forever, and now it's finally here. Before deciding on where we're about to go, I did ask my daughter if she wanted to do anything in specific, but she didn't come up with too many ideas, so I took some time to think about it, and I decided on a water park to surprise her with. I think it's very fitting because we do live in Arizona, and it's been extremely hot here, like in the hundreds. So lately, basically every single weekend, my daughter and I have been going to the local pool, and she is obsessed with the water. And now that she's older, there's just so much more that she can do when it comes to amusement parks and water parks. So I'll be taking her and my mom this weekend, but I don't have anything booked yet. So let's go ahead and do that. This is a water park that I'm going to take her to, and she is going to lose her mind. So they were offering a discount code, but when I put in our dates, it looks like it wasn't applied, but I do see they have a nurse's discount. It looks like it verified me, so let's go ahead and see if it's going to apply to our dates. It did apply. Before it was $319 and now it's $284. It looks like they have different tiers for the kids, but I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Okay, I think we're finally ready to check out now. Teeny and Minnie did just get spayed, so that's why they have these little suits on, but it's almost been 2 weeks, so hopefully I can take it off soon. My daughter calls their little suits their pajamas. They do offer a dining package too. I just don't know if that's going to be worth it. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that for now. We are officially booked. I literally cannot wait for this. I just know that we're going to have the best time.
A 1-week vacation turns into a much longer financial commitment than anyone plans for at the airport, and the math explains why. The average credit card right now charges north of 20% interest, close to a record high for that rate. Carry that $2,500 vacation balance and only make the minimum payment each month, and the memory of the actual trip is long faded before the bill itself is finally gone. 35% of people who put last year's summer vacation on a credit card still hadn't paid it off by this year, meaning they were technically still financing one trip while already booking or taking the next one.
What is your biggest financial regret in your life so far?
I took out a loan before. Which was like 5K. I paid it off, but that was my biggest regret because I didn't really need to do it.
Why'd you do it?
To go on holiday.
To go on vacation?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, but it's paid off.
It's paid off.
And that's what matters. Based on your whole life experience so far, what is one piece of financial advice you'd give to our audience?
Save for a rainy day, but don't stress it. Until you can sort it out, don't stress it.
Good morning. Let's make a microphone. In the airport while I wait for my delayed flight. Hi, I'm Jessica. I am trying to pay off my student loan debt from nursing school by 100 days past my deadline date. Today is day 36. I have been giving myself a penny for every engagement on the previous video. That is over 500 engagements. If there's less, I give myself 3 cents per engagement. The last video, we had 208 likes, 42 comments, 208 shares, 32 saves, and we lost
a bunch more followers. So there's nothing to add there. That gave us a total of 490 engagements. So it's going to be a 3-cent day, which equals $14.70. But we always run up to the next dollar. So we are going to be sending $15 to my student loans today. Thank you all who are still with me, still engaging. I am so appreciative and grateful for all of you. My engagement question for the day is, what is the worst travel experience you've ever had? As of right now, I've had worse, but our flight is delayed like 4 hours. So it's not fun, but at least we're still going to get home today, hopefully.
I'm getting ready to go to New York. And you might be thinking, Brittany, aren't you in $100,000 of debt? How are you going to go to New York? Well, here's the truth. This trip was gifted to us, and we get to go do it as a part of a Christian pilgrimage, even down to breakfast is covered. So it's such a huge blessing. We get to go do it and not have to worry about any of the payments. That being said, I'm not trying to waste money while we go. So I have a bunch of produce that I got from the farmers market free program for people that are like middle class and don't get food stamps. So I need to cut all this and freeze it. So that's what I'm gonna do and get ready for our trip. One thing about me is I really like to cook a lot. Ooh, I'm gonna put gloves on because I'm going to church and I don't want to smell like a bunch of onions. Anyways, like I was saying, I really like to cook, and some of the biggest things you need to learn about cooking is knife skills. So I don't know if you guys know how to properly chop an onion, but I'm going to show you the quickest and best way. So the first thing that you do, well, that I do, is I cut it in half, and then I peel this outside layer. And instead of throwing this away, I'll show you what I do with it because maybe you might not know. I got the skin off of the first onion, and what I do with this kind of leftover is I put it in a Ziploc baggie and keep it in the freezer. And then when the baggie gets full, or if I make a chicken, whatever comes first, like a whole chicken, I'll take all these scraps that are in this bag and I dump it in. Oof, my eyes are watering from the onion. I will take all these scraps and I dump it in with the chicken carcass in the Instant Pot and I make broth. And all these little tidbits and ends are going to make so much flavor in that broth. So don't throw those out. Keep them or compost them. Don't throw them in the garbage. So I've got my onion chopped in half. Then after that, what you're going to do is add this to your baggie too. I cut the little end off. So you're going to add this to your freezer baggie. And then you'll take the knife and you're going to take a flat hand and cut very carefully, once I get that top layer off, into the onion. So like layers, like horizontal layers. After the horizontal layers, you're going to do vertical cuts across the whole onion. And then once you've got those vertical cuts, you're going to start slicing the opposite direction. And you're going to get these perfect little diced onions, and you can freeze these. And then anytime that an onion or a recipe calls for diced onions, you just grab them out of the freezer. So this is what I'm going to be doing for the morning to prep for leaving, to make sure I'm not wasting any money. But my eyes are watering, so I got to go. Bye, guys.
Millennials and Gen Z are the two groups most likely to say they'll take on debt specifically for a trip, at 47 and 42% respectively, well above older generations surveyed on the same question. A psychologist who studies consumer behavior pointed out something that explains a lot of the reasoning underneath these numbers. When a trip feels like a seminal, once-in-a-childhood kind of memory, especially for a kid, parents find it genuinely easy to justify the debt in a way they wouldn't for almost anything else sitting on that same credit statement.
There is literally nothing scarier than looking at your credit card statement after you go on a trip. Like, it's a jump scare when you look at your credit card statement and you see that number and you're like, oh, excuse me. I didn't know I spent that much money. So then you go line item by line item and you're like, all right, wait, like, this actually was me. Like, there's no fraud on this statement. Like, that actually was me. And then you sit there contemplating if you should have ever gone on this trip because you clearly couldn't have afforded it because it came out way more expensive than you expected it, right? Because you were just like, swipe, swipe, swipe. I'm on vacation, like, whatever. Money's not real anyways. Oh my gosh, there really is nothing scarier than that. Nothing scarier than that.
If you're not paying your credit cards off after you book a vacation, you're doing it all wrong. Treat a credit card just like I treat my debit card, except I get all the benefits that come with the travel credit card. Sometimes when I don't pay it off right away, I'll forget. So I don't want to worry about a late fee or additional, interest. At the very least, you should definitely pay your credit card when it's due. If you have any questions about travel credit cards, I can certainly help you out. But my point is, definitely make sure that you're paying it off and you're not carrying a balance. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. That's just. What are your thoughts? Just one in the comments.
Traveling is all fun and games until the people that you've been traveling with realize that you ain't been paying for shit. I just got back from a 2-day weekend trip to Destin, Florida. I was there for literally Saturday, Sunday. And I was there with 6 other girls. Now, if you've never been to Destin, there's a place in Destin called Crab Island. That's where all the boats go, and that's where all the people like to have their little fun and drink. And obviously, that's where people like to eat seafood. I don't eat seafood, but all the girls that I was with do. So we went to a seafood spot. We sat there. I got a seafoodless seafood boil. So it's literally everything but the seafood. I still got the potatoes, the eggs, the corn, all that. But this one particular girl that was in the group said that apparently the place didn't take Apple Pay. So she was like, oh, I'll just Cash App somebody and, you can get my seafood bowl because they don't take Apple Pay. So I don't remember who it was. It was one of the other girls was like, okay, you can Cash App me, right? And I'll just get your seafood bowl. And see, I peep everything. And I peep how the girl never Cash Apped the other girl. But see, I didn't say anything because, I don't be pocket watching people. I just peep things. You know what I'm saying? I peep everything. So I peeped that the girl never pulled out her phone and never sent her the bread. But, you could always do that shit, at a later time. So that's why I was, not tripping about it. At the end of the day, those weren't my girls. I was there with my sister and my sister's friends. So, but it wasn't until that same night that we end up going on a yacht boat type thing. And they have a bar, a full bar. And I got me a little drink. My sister got her drink. And then that same girl, she goes, hey, let's do some shots. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm down for a shot, right? My sister put her card down, right? She opened the tab and we got our shots. Everybody agreed that we were going to send my sister our $5 for our shots. I sent her the 5. The other girl sent her the 5. But you know who didn't send my sister the 5? That same bitch from the Crab Shack. So now I'm noticing a pattern. I'm like, okay, bitch, you broke. And I'm not saying I'm rich as fuck, but all I know is that if I'm going on a trip or a vacation, come on now, bruh. You gotta have bread. You cannot just go on vacation broke. And the thing is, I think she think that she's slick, but I peep everything. So boom, about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, we head back to the hotel. And I share a room with my sister, and I'm talking to my sister. And I'm like, hey, did Shorty ever send you the 5 for the shot? My sister was like, oh, now that you mention it, no, I never got her 5 for the shot. But she was like, you know what? It's only $5, so it's fine. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's only $5. You know what I'm saying? No sweat. Until, bitch, the next morning, right, which was Sunday, which was our last day in Destin. Mind you, it was a Saturday, Sunday type of thing. On Sunday, we all wake up and we decide we're going to brunch. This is when it clicked, right? This girl didn't have no bread at all. At all. Because the person who she was sharing rooms with was her cousin, my sister's best friend. And apparently, my sister's best friend, the cousin, her name's Z. We're just going to call her Z. She paid for the room. She paid for the room on her own. She didn't even split it. We go to brunch. We all eating and shit. And here go the girl again. Talking about y'all want to just put it all in one tab and then we can just Cash App each other. Bitch, that's when I had to say something. That's literally when I had to intervene. I was like, no. Everybody can get their own tab individually and pay. I'm pretty sure the server would not mind breaking this shit up in 6 different tabs. They do this shit every day. And you know what? I was being petty. I was being petty when I said that because I peep you. You came on this trip with no money and we've literally been funding your trip the entire weekend and you're not about to get away with it again. So the girl started arguing with me, right? She argued with me. She's like, well, I just feel like it's easier for the server if we just do one tab. I'm like, dude, like I said, I was a server before. I don't give a fuck. I'll break that shit down in 6 different bills. Let the man do their job. That's what we're paying them for. That's what we're tipping them for. And then I was like, or were you not planning on tipping? Is that why you trying to put everything in one tab? Y'all, she got mad as hell. But at this point, I don't give a fuck. I'm choosing violence because one thing that really pisses me off is when people try to finesse other people. And what she was doing is literally finessing, like trying to finesse. We are all like young women in our 20s. We work hard and we deserve a little getaway from home. You know what I'm saying? We came here to relax. We did not come here to carry you on our backs. And that's really what was pissing me off. Because like I said, I don't pocket watch nobody. I don't care what you got or don't got. But when you're trying to get over on your friends, that's a problem. And I just got back from St. Lucia, so my pockets really wasn't like, I wasn't ready to go back out of town again. But you know how I made it happen? I made it happen because my sister said she was tired. My sister said she needed a break from her household, from her dogs. She needed a break. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I went on Hopper and I got us a hotel room for the low ski. You know what I'm saying? For the low ski. And we all drove to Destin, a 5-hour drive to Destin, because my sister needed a break. But you have this leech here, and she's literally like leeching off of all of us. Well, all of us except me, because I don't play that shit. Anyway, y'all, to make a long story not as long, she got so mad when I was like pointing out the fact, like at the brunch table, when I was pointing out the fact that she just didn't want to like leave a tip, that she was like turning red in the face. Like it literally looked like she wanted to jump out her seat and like, I don't know, slap the fuck out of me. But like at the same time, you're not about to do that. So see, I think like because I am a Gemini, I have some like evil tendencies. And please don't judge me for this, y'all. But I really wanted to see this whole thing play out. I wanted to see everybody get their bills, and I wanted to see how she was gonna pay hers. Cause Shorty didn't just get like eggs and pancake and a little bacon on the side and a mimosa. Baby, she got steak and eggs with like a quadruple stack of pancakes, 3 mimosas, a side of grits. You thought somebody else was gonna cover that for you? Nah, baby. Her bill was like $48, which really wasn't bad at all, but I just wanted to see how the fuck you was gonna cover this without us covering it for you. And so we all got our bills and we all paid, and I see that she stands up and she goes to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh shit. Here we go. 2 things was about to happen. Either she was going to go to the bathroom and not come back, or number 2, she was going to go to the bathroom and be in the bathroom for a long ass time, probably as she scattered to find a way to pay for her bill, right? Boom. Guess what? Shorty didn't come back. Shorty went to the bathroom, did not come back. We was waiting at the table for over 30 minutes. We went in the bathroom to look for her the first time, right? We went in the bathroom to look for her the first time. She said, I'm coming right out. Cool, went back to the table, sat down for another 10, 15 minutes. We go back in the bathroom looking for her. Shorty is gone. Shorty is gone. There was nobody in there, nobody in the stalls. So now Z, the cousin, she pull out the phone and she's like looking for her cousin's location. She's like, where the fuck is this girl? Y'all, she was already back at the telly. Shorty was already back at the telly. So like you really like ran off on your bill. Like, I hate bitches like you. But to make a long story not as long, Z ended up paying for her cousin's bill yet again. And then we all ended up packing our stuff and going home. And baby, when I tell you, that bitch would never come with us anywhere. Ever. Again. Hell nah. Don't be that girl.
I realize that I'm going to be broke forever. So at this point, I only have 2 options. Either I can be broke at home or I can be broke on vacation. I'm booking the flight, bro. I'm leaving.
Not everyone is choosing to finance their way through it either. Roughly a quarter of Americans report they simply won't be taking a summer vacation at all this year, and 65% say rising prices have forced them to change their travel plans in some meaningful way, whether that means a shorter trip, a closer destination, or skipping the whole thing outright rather than putting it on a card and dealing with it later.
80 fucking bucks, bro. I spent 80 bucks on a dumbass bumper bro fucking ride that was ass and my Samsung ran out of service. Then I spent 80 bucks on a fucking Uber to a fucking abandoned church. Now I'm about to spend another fucking 80 bucks and I just spent another fucking 40 bucks on fucking Walmart masks and fucking candies. And I spent another fucking 100 fucking bucks earlier when I was fucking.
You didn't pay me.
I think a few of you will relate to this, so let's just be real for a minute. How many of you, when booking a holiday, you'll either have the lists of where you want to go, or you've saved some inspo of a hotel on your social media, and you said, oh, I'll have a look at that one day. It's always, I'll go one day, or I'll look next year, and then you look at the prices and you think, oh, it's a bit expensive, that. And then you tell yourself you have to save for another year or two to take that holiday that you want. That was honestly one of the main reasons that I started my own online business through the travel industry, because I did not want to be saving a year or two to take that trip that I really wanted. I didn't want to be restricted because of cost. I wanted to travel smarter, and I was already booking travel for free, so why not earn off the back of it? And now I get access to all the inside travel, all the perks. There's so many perks that come with it, as well as earning from it. I'm not saying that everybody wants to start an online business, because not everybody does. But if you have thought, I want to travel smarter, I want to travel more, like there must be a way, then maybe it's worth having the conversation, because I honestly wish someone told me this way sooner than when I found out, because now I can't look back.
Why are flight prices right now actually insane? Trying to book a short weekend trip with some friends for this spring, being nothing but $300, $400, even $500 for domestic flights on even budget airlines. I wanted to go to Phoenix just to go somewhere warm with some friends. And I'm looking on Allegiant, which is supposed to be a budget airline. I'm even seeing $600. We have Frontier, Allegiant, another Allegiant. And these are not even that great of flight times. Okay, maybe this one. This is ridiculous. $500, $600 for March. I might as well just go to Europe or somewhere else because it's the same freaking price. It's ridiculous.
My family was talking about taking a trip this year. Nothing crazy, just a quick little getaway somewhere. So naturally, I volunteered to look up flights. Big mistake. Then I checked gas prices to see if driving would be cheaper. Also a big mistake. Then I was checking hotels, and at that point, I was ready to just suggest we stay home. Because why is every option suddenly so expensive? And my first thought was just inflation. But then I started looking into it, and there are actual policy decisions driving up price increases. Flights are up around 18%. Gas prices are up around 30%. Part of that comes from Trump's war with Iran disrupting a major oil route, which has really pushed fuel costs higher. And when fuel costs go up, everything from road trips to plane tickets go up too. Then there are tariffs supported by Republicans in Congress that have raised the cost of imported goods, including things like luggage, electronics, and other travel essentials. So it's not just the trip itself that's expensive, it's all the stuff around it too. And honestly, this isn't even just about vacations. Higher gas prices affect everyday life, going to work, running errands, visiting family, literally just living life. So if you've been looking at your bank account lately, wondering why everything costs so much, you're definitely not the only one. What's been the biggest price jump for you lately? Let me know in the comments. And if you're tired of paying more for everything, reach out to your representative and tell them how these rising costs are affecting you.
The advice from people who actually study this professionally doesn't change much year to year, even as the raw numbers around it keep climbing higher. Setting aside a dedicated travel fund well ahead of time, even a small automatic transfer every single paycheck, tends to prevent the exact scenario where a trip gets charged all at once and then slowly paid down for months afterward, with 20% interest working against every single dollar the whole time.
This is part 3 of how we got into massive debt, and this is one of my most embarrassing debts that we have. A few years ago, our family took a trip to Disney, and we impulsively purchased the Disney Vacation Club. And we did so by financing it. If you don't know what the Disney Vacation Club, or DVC, is, it's kind of like a timeshare for Disney World. Except instead of having one specific resort or specific weeks of the year that you get to use it, it's a point system. You buy a certain number of points, and then those points can get redeemed at any DVC resort any time of the year that they have availability. That means you can end up staying at Disney World properties, Disneyland properties, and they also have other DVC resorts like in Hawaii and in Europe. So it definitely provides a lot of opportunity to travel. Now, with that being said, this is a very bougie luxury purchase that we had no business making. There were some incentives when we purchased, so the total cost of financing was around $27,000. Now, was this stupid? Yes, I know that. But I promise you, our hearts were in a good place, but our financial literacy was zero.
I don't think the issue was knowing if your heart was in a good place or not. It was that you purchased something that cost $20,000 when you didn't have the money for it. Why are all the Disney adults in debt? Wait, $27,000 for Disney? The creator responds, yep, for a 50-year timeshare. Financing $27,000 for anything that isn't a car or a house repair is kind of insane. The creator responds again, it really is. It was so stupid of us. And we got another comment from you guys here. Sacrificing your family's financial security to bow at the altar of a fictional mouse is crazy work.
My husband and I live paycheck to paycheck, and we have credit card debt and we have basically nothing in savings, but we are going on a vacation this summer, and I'm going to tell you why we're doing it and how we're doing it. We live on about $4,000 a month, which is basically nothing in this economy, but it is a lot more than a lot of other people. So I'm very grateful that the Lord has sustained us and given us enough income to live on. I am a big fan of Dave Ramsey. Advice that I just cannot take from him is to basically stop everything while you're paying off debt. While my husband and I are paying off debt, our girls' childhood is flying by before our eyes, and I will be darned if I put their childhood on hold just to pay off debt a little bit faster, especially if all of our needs are met right now. So we live in Kansas City. We are driving out to Estes Park for 4 days, including driving. We did this trip last summer, and it is extremely affordable. So we decided to do it again this summer with our kids. We just did it, my husband and I, last summer. It's our 5-year anniversary this summer. We decided it would be fun to go back and bring our girls and hopefully make it a little bit of a tradition every year. So last year we camped, which made it even more affordable. This year we will have our 3-year-old and our 7-month-old with us. And as much as we'd love to camp, I just really don't want to camp with a 7-month-old. So we decided to book an Airbnb for 3 nights. It's $800 total for 3 nights. It's pretty affordable, I would say, for Estes Park. It is like 5 minutes from the entrance of the park. We had a $250 gift card, so it actually ended up being $600. I know the clouds are coming in. Sorry, it's not going to be as bright. So I have a photography business, and this year I've taken a lot of time off. Last year, I was honestly keeping our family afloat because my husband was waiting for full-time hours at his job, and he finally got that right before we had our second daughter. So anything that I make from a side hustle or my business is extra income. So when we decided to take this trip, I booked 2 photography gigs to pay for the trip, and those both ended up getting canceled. And I posted on here asking for tips on how to make extra money fast, and you guys came through with a lot of great tips. I didn't use any of them though. I am a swim lessons instructor. I decided to offer some private lessons, but I got so many kids signed up for lessons that I think it was like $1,200 that I brought in. So I was able to go in and pay off our Airbnb. So all that we have left to worry about is the park pass, which is probably like, I think it's like 30 gas to get there, and food. Planning on packing a lot of our food because we're going to be hiking in the mountains a lot. It's going to be really affordable, and I'm really excited. And whenever we do go, I will break everything down and tell you everything we did and how much it cost. But I'm just really thankful that I have my photography business and that it is successful, and that I do have ways that I can make some extra income on top of what we already have, because I know that there's a lot of other people who are in a similar financial position to us that they wouldn't really even be able to take this trip. So I am extremely grateful for our opportunity to go, and the memories that we are going to make are priceless. We don't know how much time we have on this earth with each other. My husband and I love the mountains. We love hiking. We love being outdoors. I'm just thankful that we are within driving distance of Colorado, because we wouldn't be able to go if we had to fly. I guess this is just a reminder that when you're paying off debt, sometimes you have to weigh the costs and the benefits of taking that vacation, doing the outing with your family, and sometimes the memories are worth the cost.
I just went on a vacation, which is so controversial when you're paying off debt. But you know what? There is a thing called balance. There's a thing called balance. And I truthfully believe that you should be able to live your life still and pay off your debt. Because for me, okay, I went to Vegas and I went to go see Illenium. Best concert of my life. Oh my God. Insane. If you're able to go to the Sphere and go see a DJ at the Sphere, insane, you guys. Literally insane. Anyway, besides the point. But I truthfully believe that you should be able to go and enjoy your life. Why? Why be upset? Why be sad? Why be depressed and paying off debt? No. You should be able to live your life and have fun, but it is about a balance, and you definitely have to save money for it, and you have to be responsible about it. Don't be putting vacations on credit cards. I mean, I did for the points, but paid it off. Truthfully, I'm going to still enjoy my life, but you got to be responsible about it, you know?
What a lot of people describe once they're actually back home is the same letdown, over and over again, almost word for word. The trip itself was genuinely good, worth every bit of the planning. Then the statement arrives in the mail or the app, and the good feeling gets stretched thin across several months of payments that quietly outlast the memory of the vacation itself by a wide margin. Have you ever financed a trip and regretted the bill afterward? Or has it always been worth it to you regardless of the cost? Tell me honestly in the comments. Cost Crisis covers exactly this kind of thing, so stick around for more. Thank you for watching.